one of the most dangerous things you can do is allow yourself to be alone on this journey, because it will get hard. It does get scary. You do need a support system, and it makes all the difference. I'm Amy Porterfield, ex-corporate girl turned CEO of a multi-seven-figure business. But it wasn't all that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the budget, and the time to focus on growing my small but mighty business. Fast forward past many failed attempts and lessons learned, and you'll see the business I have today. One that changes lives and gives me more freedom than I ever thought possible. One that used to only exist as a daydream. I created the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're an ambitious entrepreneur or one in the making who's looking to create a business that makes an impact and a life you love, you're in the right place, friend. Let's get started. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Online Marketing Made Easy. I'm your host, Amy Porterfield. And in this shorty episode, we are going to be talking about finding your people and building an entrepreneurial circle so that you are not alone on this journey. Now, two things. I don't think you can hear it. However, my dog just got back from a walk and he is panting so loud that I can hear it very clearly, but I don't think you can. But if you can, just know that's my dog. Number two, I want to tell you that I just got back from Mexico. So what we do every year with my team is that we say, if we hit our profit goal at the end of the year, in June, we will go on a vacation. All expense paid, no work, just fun. If we don't hit our profit goal, then we still do a trip, usually in Nashville, half fun, half brainstorming, working, strategy. I've talked about this on the podcast before. Some of you are like, yeah, Amy, we know. Well, anyway, the reason I tell you this is that I just got back from Mexico. Had one of the greatest times ever. It was in Tulum. I've never felt humidity and heat like that, just for the record. But beyond that, it was such a fun time to just be together. And I have to tell you, I had a moment. So you all know that my webinar go-to song is Journey, Don't Stop Believing. I'm such a basic white girl. It's embarrassing, but it's the truth. And the reason why that's a special song is because when I worked for Tony Robbins, we would drive a van or some kind of car to the venue. We'd pick them up at the hotel. There'd be security guards, me, maybe one other content person in the car, Tony and his wife, and we would drive over to the venue. And right before we got to the venue, many times they would play Journey, Don't Stop Believing, and the guys would have their side of the sing part of it, and the girls would sing our part of it. It was just always a really fun, pump you up kind of moment before Tony got out of the car and got on stage. So it's always been a special song for me. So when I built my own business, before every webinar, I play that song. And I remember 15 years ago being in a tiny little condo in Carlsbad, California. I was doing one of my very first webinars. I cranked up that music, danced around my little tiny office, and just kind of got into the zone. Fast forward 15 years later, and in Mexico, we do a karaoke night. It's kind of a tradition in the business now. And at the very end, because I don't do karaoke, at the end, I do karaoke to that song with my whole team. And that's when they give me the mic. They should never give me the mic, but that's when they do. And I'm usually about 2 margaritas in, so I'm ready for it. So with that, I was screaming my head off to this song, having so much fun. And I had a moment and thought, 15 years ago, I was all alone doing this. 15 years ago, I would never have thought I had a team of 24 full-time employees across the US. Never in a million years. It was never on my vision board. I never thought I'd have such a team. And I always just thought I'd be a one-woman show all on my own with some contractors. So I tell you this to say, don't stop dreaming. I tell you this to say, you never know what will happen if you stay on the field, continue to take action, and learn from all of your losses, which there will be a lot if you're building a business online. And you won't always be alone, which is such a great tie-in to this episode. You won't always be alone, but you have to be proactive to ensure you are not. So whether it means you join masterminds, you put together your own peer mastermind, you do accountability calls with some of your work besties, or you build a team that is there to support and help you and build up the business. All different options here, but you don't have to be alone. And I think one of the most dangerous things you can do is allow yourself to be alone on this journey, because it will get hard. It does get scary. You do need a support system, and it makes all the difference. So that leads me perfectly into this episode. So as you guessed it, today I am going to be talking about how to build up a community around you so that you do not feel alone. Because many of you right now do feel very isolated in what you're trying to do in building a business. And in the early days, I definitely had a little bit of this. I've never felt super alone in my entrepreneurial journey because, as you all know, I joined a mastermind weeks before I ever left my job with Tony Robbins. Like, I couldn't afford it. I had to do payment plans. It freaked me out, but I knew I wanted to be around other women who were doing bigger things than me. And that opportunity came about weeks before I left Tony Robbins. So I've always been in community. And then it turned into peer masterminds where no one paid. It was just a bunch of my friends. They do the same kind of business. And then I was in other paid masterminds and other groups and other events. So I've always surrounded myself with people. When I was really young, my mom used to joke. I used to say, I don't want to be by my lone. So she'd leave me downstairs to eat my dinner. I don't want to be by my lone. So I'm a person that I guess I like to be around people, which says a lot being an introvert. But when it comes to hard things like building a business, don't make me be by my lone. So I've always had people around me, but I do know what it feels at times. There's always seasons where it feels lonely and wishing you had someone to talk to see if, am I crazy in this thought, or do you have this as well? Like, to make sure that you're on the right track and someone to hold you accountable. You got to want that at one point or another. I think that's very normal. So I can understand the need for it. And I really want you to find your people. So entrepreneurship can be isolating, especially when the people you do have in your life don't entirely understand why you started a business or support you in your journey. Maybe they look at the 9-to-5 job that you have right now or you once had and think that is the safest way to go. And they might tell you of all your responsibilities, all the things you must be doing, or all the things you should be doing to make sure you're safe and secure, and starting a business is not one of them. Now, you have to remember, 99.9% of the people that tell you that it is not safe for you to quit your job and start a business are people that have never started a business, never experienced the freedom of online businesses, and would never want to. So consider the source. My mom always used to say that. Consider the source. Also, they might tell you 97% of businesses fail, which, by the way, is an accurate figure that has been perpetuated over time without any factual basis. So let's not even believe that one. But they're going to tell you a lot of things. Consider the source. So if you can relate to this, you know that you're getting feedback from people that would never do what you want to do, or you just feel isolated. Here's the thing. You've got to believe that this is your only path, the right path for you, and you are going all in. I talk about this a lot, but if you have one foot in and one foot out, you will always feel stuck at some point or another, because the one foot out is telling yourself, maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you don't have what it takes. Maybe this will never work. Maybe you will crash and burn. And with one foot out, you start believing that more so than just getting into action and getting it done, which is the foot that's on the field. It's easier to doubt yourself than to believe in yourself. So one thing, I want you to hear this. If you're multitasking, come back to me. One of the things you really need to do is just go all in. I don't care what they have to say. This is my path. This is right for me. I have a desire for this. End of story. The conversation is over. I know that might feel easier said than done, but it is what you need to do. So something to think about. Now, to get this done, you have to strengthen your mentality, work on your mindset every single day. Read the books, listen to the podcast, go to therapy, get a coach, whatever you need to do. But 80% of this is minding your mindset. So you've got to do that. And then also that will help you with your mindset is surround yourself with people who are in the trenches with you to make sure that you have people to rely on, to keep you accountable. You got to have a venting session with somebody. That's always cathartic to me. So I'm all about it. So you got to have your people. Okay. So how do you surround yourself with other like-minded entrepreneurs who are determined to build successful businesses when you don't actually know anyone that's doing what you're doing? You're new on the scene. You're really shy. You're an introvert. You don't know where to look. What do? Well, one way to do it is pay for it. And again, I've already mentioned this. I did it in the beginning. I paid my way to have a bunch of entrepreneurial women doing bigger things than me to breathe life into this new business I was creating. It was $17,000. I paid monthly because I couldn't afford it. And then I hustled my buns every month so that I could pay it off because I really loved this mastermind. And what I love more than anything is that I felt like an imposter when I was in this group because they were so much more successful than me. So I did have that imposter syndrome pretty regularly. But let me tell you, it was still the best place that I could have been, well worth every penny, because the women in this group, they proved to me what was possible. And I was just arrogant enough. I wasn't confident, but I was just arrogant enough to think, well, if they can do that, then I probably can figure this out too. You need a little of that. You don't have to tell anyone you've got it, but you need a little of that, just like probably arrogance that's not even founded in any proof, but that's okay. Or it could be founded in proof. I've done some big things in my 9-to-5 job. I've moved up the ladder. I've gotten awards and promotions. And so I can figure that out. I can figure this out. So look for the proof if you need to. But I might have felt like an imposter. That's not going to kill you. You can still feel that, but then still see the value in being within a group that people are doing amazing things. So important. So I love a mastermind that you pay for. I also believe when you have skin in the game, you probably show up in a bigger way. I do. I don't want to waste my money. And I made the commitment. But also there's other things you could do. You could join memberships that help you get in community, courses that have community with them. Again, you could create your own peer mastermind. Usually those aren't as good when you're just starting out because everyone's so new that it's really hard to help each other. I'd rather you find a way to pay for the mastermind and get in there so that you can surround yourself with people that are doing amazing things. And it's okay if not everyone is doing bigger things than you. Even if they're on an even playing field than you, that's a great thing too. So just paying for it, if you can figure that out, I think it's a great thing. Now, if you cannot afford a mastermind or the memberships or the courses, if you're like, Amy, it's just not going to happen, then the second best thing is beyond joining a membership or a course that's cheaper than a mastermind. So if you can pull that off, do that. But I do like the idea of creating a peer-based mastermind. I just don't like it in the very, very beginning when you don't really know anyone. And again, you're all newbies. But let's say you're 1 or 2 years in, I like it. And I did it. So the reason I'm best friends with Stu McLaren is that we were in a mastermind together. And I've told the story before, but we won a charades night one night. We have a picture of it. This is many, many, many years ago. And that sealed our friendship forever. We're like, we're winners. We're winners. But I would have never met him if I didn't get into a peer mastermind, which means that you or somebody says, hey, let's get 5, 6 friends together. No one pays to be in it. We pay for our hotel and our travel if we go anywhere. And once a quarter, we would go somewhere and we would mastermind. We didn't even meet once a month. We would just meet once a quarter in a destination and do like 2 days of masterminding, brainstorming, and always walked away with good stuff. But I was 2 or 3 years into my business, so I had a lot to offer. And the people that were doing it, we were all kind of on the same playing field and they had lots to offer as well. So I love that. I don't know if James would ever tell this story, so I hope I'm not putting words in his mouth, but he said this to me. James Wedmore was in that mastermind with me and Stu. And one day I had mentioned that I had hit $1 million in my business, like 950,000 that year. I've talked about this before. And so much of a podcast is repeating yourself when you have 700 plus episodes. So stay with me. But I remember James is like, what? It was like, or maybe I had said how much I made just in courses that year. It was something that he's so competitive and he's like, game on. And so we kind of feed off each other as well. I've had those same experiences where someone was doing something big in my mastermind and I'm like, watch me, I'm going to do that too. So they're really fantastic if you can find the right people and no one's paying, but everyone's really there to support each other. I'm all for it. I assure you, my friend, that feeling lonely and isolated as an entrepreneur is not a unique problem. I want you to hear that. It's not a unique problem. There are other people just like you out there who need community as well. You simply need to step up to the plate and find them. So you got to be proactive. If you're saying you're lonely, if you feel isolated, if you say you don't have the right people around you to build you up and push you out into the world, that is your fault. And this is tough love. So I'm not shaming you. I've been there. Like, I get it. But what I want to say is you can do something about it. You can be proactive. You can ask people to get into a group with you, or you could find the mastermind or get into the membership. You have the power. You do not need to stay lonely. So although it is a very, very common issue, it doesn't need to be there. You don't have to stay in that season too long. Okay, so with that, I've got some homework for you. Just 2 action items. Number 1, I want you to spend 10 minutes journaling. What kind of support do you need? What kind of people are you looking for? What kind of group or accountability pod would be really valuable to you? And what do you need to feel less lonely on this journey? Oh, and one more, what's going to get you to the finish line? So I'm going to put those questions in the show notes, amyporterfield.com/701, so that you can journal. 10 minutes is all I'm asking. Let's get clarity on what you need and want. And number 2, I want to invite you into our community. So if you ever thought about maybe creating a digital course, or if you absolutely want to create one and you want some guidance, then I want you to come into our community where we have so many opportunities to support you, to encourage you, to keep you accountable. And I think one of the perfect first steps that you need to do is take my quiz that I just created, which is going to help you to decide, 1, if a digital course is right for you, and 2, if so, what kind of entrepreneur are you and what that means for the type of course you're going to create. It's a really cool quiz. It gives you so much insight into who you are and your perfect next steps. And if you're not right for a digital course, the quiz will tell you that as well. So it's amyporterfield.com/quiz. Once you take it, I'm going to send you great information all about who you are and what is perfect for you, like the next step, and then give you some invites into different ways to get into our community so you are not alone on this journey. The quiz is free. It takes 2 minutes. amyporterfield.com/quiz. All right, my sweet friend, thanks so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you on Thursday for more entrepreneurial goodness. Talk to you soon.